Well, good Thursday evening. We're now a week away from Thanksgiving. I can't believe how fast this month is gone and really this year is gone. If you agree, raise your hand, let me know. But now that we're within a week of Thanksgiving, obviously the forecast becoming a little clearer. For Northern California, the forecast looks really good. It's the kind of pattern where we're not going to get the changes like what we saw with this past week with systems coming in and changes in rain and snow timing and amounts and all that stuff. Now this forecast is going to be easy to plan for and relatively easy for us to forecast. We'll call it persistence forecasting because not a whole lot's going to change over the next 6 or 7 days. There may be a little bit of something next weekend, but this weekend looks really good. I know I'm making some plans to be outside for a little bit, especially in the afternoons. It'll be really nice. Maybe you got family coming over. Maybe you want to get the holiday decorations up outside before everything kicks off. This weekend would be a really good weekend to do that, especially as things start to dry out. I'm sure there's Christmas tree farms that are starting to open. If you want to head up to the foothills, it's going to be beautiful weather for that. If you want to go and head up to Tahoe, Truckee, Reno, whatever, travel over the passes is going to be nice and easy. But we're going to take a look at the national travel weather outlook because there's bound to be some snags somewhere. So if you are flying, if you have a loved one that's flying or making a connection somewhere, give you an idea of what to expect there. We'll take a look at what little rain we did get today. Also look at some of the snowpack numbers. Yes, I know it's early, but we've been talking a lot about our rain season numbers, which are really, really good. Snow isn't bad. Let's put it this way, it's not time to worry about that yet, but still interesting to watch. So we'll look about that as well. But I'm keeping an eye on the comments on Facebook and YouTube, so if you have questions, if you want to share your plans for Thanksgiving, let me know. We can talk about it. I know I'm going to be hosting some family, so we're looking forward to that. It's always nice. I'm from the East Coast, so whenever family can come visit us, it saves us a trip, and yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of company. Let's start with the radar. Not as much activity as what we had this morning. It was kind of damp and chilly in the valley. Do a couple of showers going through. But what's nice to see, at least for travel, is that the snow is winding down on 80, 50, and 88. Now temperatures are dropping, so whatever's on the roads on 50 and 88 is going to keep them slick. We had chain controls up from Twin Bridges to Myers and from Silver Lake in Amador County over to Woodfords. Those are still in place. Caltrans may just leave them up for tonight. Temperatures over the summits dropping into the teens and 20s, just to make sure people are safe. Of course, the chain controls, not only do you have to put stuff on your tires, you have to drive much slower, 35-mile-an-hour speed limit up there. But if you are joining me from Sutter County, Colusa County, Northern Yolo County, a few little raindrops for you. Otherwise, things are really winding down for Northern California. Different story for Southern California. This is another one of those systems where it moves into the north coast and then just sweeps right down the coastline. That's exactly what we're seeing. So some soaking rain again for Los Angeles. Snow in the higher elevations of the mountains. There will be snow accumulation down to about 6,000 feet or so in mountains of Riverside County, San Bernardino Mountains. So if you or someone you know is going to be traveling in the LA area tomorrow, maybe you're off on Friday and you're going to drive somewhere, you're off all next week. Tomorrow's going to be a little hairy, at least in the morning around SoCal, but things will be getting better into the afternoon. We're talking inches of snow over the passes. I don't think it's anything that would close the grapevine or anything like that, but it is going to slow down travel at 6,000 feet plus there. Speaking of, let's see what we can see at the summits. I mentioned we do have chain controls up over Highway 50. Of course, it's dark. It's hard to see too much. Let's see what we can here, if the camera will load. Waiting, waiting, waiting. You can see the still image there. I know it's tiny, but you kind of get a sense that it's a little murky. We've got the snow on the shoulders, low visibility. I actually heard from Dirk Verdorn. He was on his way home, and he said he had some patches of fog south of Sacramento headed to where he was going. So we already have a little bit of fog setting up. We'll look at visibility in just a second. All right, here's that Echo Summit camera. Now it's up. Yeah, so you can get a better idea as the cars come around the bend there. Just slick, slushy. It's pretty snow, though. It's the kind of snow that sticks to just about everything. Makes a nice scene when the sun does come back up. But again, fortunately, things are going to be drying out. Cue up visibility here, because there is fog in some areas. Nothing that's actually registering on our setup just yet. But that's how these isolated patches of fog work. So keep in mind the numbers that you see, those are the airports. Our model does its best to fill in where it's getting a little bit foggy. We're seeing that in the Sierra, Tuolumne County, Mono County. But there will be some spots in the valley later on tonight where as the sky clears out, the air cools off, we have light winds. That's a recipe for fog. We are now in that time of the year where fog develops very easily, and of course because we've had good amount of moisture over the past week, there's plenty of moisture to form fog. Let's call up the fog model here really quickly. All right, where are you headed tomorrow? Let me know. This is 8 o'clock this evening. Yeah, this model is showing those fingers of fog spreading out. 6 a.m. Friday, yeah, much of Sacramento County, San Joaquin County, Stanislaus County getting into Merced County. Yeah, it's going to be kind of socked in the usual places where the winds are light, and we've had a little bit of moisture, just enough of a north breeze here on the north end of the valley that we shouldn't see too much. So 6 o'clock Friday morning. 9 o'clock still foggy around Stockton, Modesto. Visibility may be getting a little better. The fog may be thinning out, but it may take until about 11 o'clock for the sky to fully clear. The good news is once the fog does clear, we're going to see a lot of sunshine tomorrow, and that's going to help bump the temperatures up quite a bit. So that's really all we're talking about weather-wise for at least the next 24 hours, and the 7-day forecast is looking nice and quiet. We'll check in on the comments here on Facebook. Duke says, good evening from cold Jamestown. Hey, Duke. Dean's watching, Scott's watching on my page, Alberto's watching, Carol, and Steve. It's a dual Facebook account. Stuart's watching from Elk Grove. Nice to see a quiet forecast for the holiday. Yeah, it is nice. But also nice that we got the rain too, so we kind of get the best of both worlds here for a little bit. All right, post your questions as you get them. In the meantime, let's call up some of the models and take a peek at what's going on. So we're going to look at the latest run here. This has been updating over the past hour. I'm looking at this for the first time, looking at it along with you so we can see what the new information, what we can glean from new information together. So this is the GFS, the American model. National view here. I know it may be hard to see if you're looking at a smaller screen. California's over here. Central Plains, Texas, Florida, East Coast. All right. Green is rain, blue is snow. The black lines are isobars, lines of constant pressure, where you see the lines close together, like up here over Hudson Bay. That is where you have some strong gusty winds. And this purple line, called the 540 thickness line, this is the divider between where the air is cold enough for snow, up above, and where it is too warm for snow, down below. That's a general rule. Things behave much differently in the Sierra and the Rockies and the Cascades where you bring elevation into the mix. But for sea level, the 540 thickness line is a good indicator of where we could see snow. All right, so here is tomorrow afternoon. Showery for Southern California. The worst of the rain and the snow is going to be in the morning, so things improving during the second half of the day. But Saturday looks good. Saturday looks really good for Northern California. High temperatures, I think, will be in the low to mid 60s for the valley. Light winds, sunshine. A little rainy here for the southeast. That's not going to be anything disruptive for any flights getting in and out. Sunday, system coming through the Rockies that may bring a little bit of snow, at least to the higher elevations of the Rockies. We'll see if Denver ends up with anything. I know they've been kind of snow-starved lately. Traveling through Seattle or Portland, rain, a little bit of wind, some snow in the higher elevations. This is Sunday afternoon. But everywhere in California this weekend is dry. This is Tuesday afternoon. We're dry up and down the west coast. This is cold, snow, wind. I mean, if this plays out, this could be blizzard conditions across eastern Montana. Not a whole lot of people traveling out there from what I can imagine, but that may make some headlines as we go into next week. Dry through the southern plains, but this cold air is going to come barreling southward. This is showers and thunderstorms, steady soaking rain for the northeast. Wednesday, the all-important day before Thanksgiving. Again, driving across California, you're good. Going to Reno, going to Tahoe, going over the Grapevine, going over Shasta, headed up into Oregon. Yeah, you're going to be good through the Golden State. But more rain, a little bit of wind, and high elevation snow for the interior Pacific Northwest. And then scattered showers for the east. But look at how low this 540 thickness line gets. This is going to be cold in the upper Midwest the day before Thanksgiving. Here we go, some lake effect snow on Thanksgiving Day. This will be 4 p.m. our time on Thanksgiving, so most of us probably had dinner at that point. I know I like eating dinner early rather than late, time to digest. And this will just be cold, windy. Just kind of nasty weather for late November. Not unusual to get a system like this to go through in the winter, but yeah, that would be some biting cold and nasty wind. Friday into Saturday before Thanksgiving. But take a peek over here. This is Friday night into Saturday of next week, not this week. A little bit of rain, perhaps a little bit of snow. I show you that with the huge caveat that we are 9 days out from next Saturday. Models have pretty consistently shown something late next week into next weekend, but it is far too soon to tell if it's going to be anything that impacts travel. It can be very light, like what we saw today, but it's something that we're watching. So, it's nothing to cancel your plans over. It's nothing to, if you have relatives coming or going that weekend, it's nothing to, scare them out of traveling at this point. But that may be our next chance for at least a little something here in Northern California. But yeah, if you pay attention to the national weather headlines, maybe you've seen things about big cold change, big pattern change coming for the U.S. That's really talking about areas to the east of the Rockies, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, the Northeast. It's going to get pretty darn cold there. The kind of cold that they certainly can see in maybe late December, January, early February. But for late November, this would be a pretty good cold snap. So just kind of interesting to watch those headlines buzz around, and of course, just like what we see here with our atmospheric rivers, some of it gets blown way out of proportion, but it gets cold in the upper Midwest this time of the year. But it's going to be exceptionally cold this time around. Greg is checking in from South Lake Tahoe on YouTube. Hey Greg, hope you did okay with the snow today. I know it was a little bit slick. Hopefully it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. I know some folks up there, I mean myself included, skiers down here in the valley. I'm a skier, I've got season passes. Would like to see some more. We were talking earlier today. Some of the resorts, not too surprising, are pushing back their opening days. A lot of them hope to open the week of Thanksgiving, so people are off. Thanksgiving holiday, we want to get people up there skiing. Last year we were able to do that. Last year we had a good storm on, I think it was the 22nd, so the week before Thanksgiving, gave everybody a good jump start with the snow. Haven't had that yet this year. Most places above 6,000 feet have maybe 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground. Yeah, the resorts need a little bit more to work with in order to get that going. But there is some good-ish news, at least for the resorts that can make their own snow. So the first half of this month, Valley, Foothills, Sierra, it was warm. You remember in Sacramento, we were in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees a bunch of times during the first couple of weeks. But we're finally getting some colder air that's going to sit here for a little bit. So this is the 7-day forecast for the Foothills and the Sierra. These numbers are for the airport and Truckee. South Lake Tahoe tends to run a little bit colder, and of course, Donner Summit also runs colder. The ski resorts are going to run colder than these numbers. Yeah, it's going to be warm. We're going to see a bit of sunshine in the afternoons, but what I think the resorts will like is these overnight temperatures and the fact that it's going to be dry. So it's going to be cold. The air is going to be dry enough to make some good powdery snow with the resorts that have their snow guns. And yeah, there's not going to be any rain to wash that away. So hopefully over the next week, some of those resorts can be a little bit more productive with the snowmaking. Again, fingers crossed. I know it's counted on as big business up there, so obviously for their sakes, we hope for good snow. We hope for well-timed snow. We hope for safe travel for those that have to deal with the snow. So that was the foothills and the Sierra. This is our 7-day forecast for the valley, and that's about as boring as it's been in a couple of weeks. I'm okay with admitting to it being boring. Boring is okay for a bit. We are well stocked up on rain for now. Highs in the low 60s, a little more cloud cover early next week, but you know, nothing's going to come of those clouds. And overnight lows in the low 40s. Check out the normal low. That's down in the low 40s this time of the year. Normal high is in the lower 60s. So that looks a lot like late November. By the time we get into December, maybe a little something comes our way. We'll see. We'll keep tabs on that as we go forward. Yeah, I think I've talked myself out here. Check in for some last minute comments. Noel is saying hi on my Facebook page. He loves the weather and wishes everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'll plan to do a couple more of these. Actually, I'll be working on Thanksgiving, so maybe we'll do one on Thanksgiving. We'll see. But I'll definitely do one on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll have some better details on if we're getting some rain and snow next weekend. We'll be able to start to iron some of those out for you. But otherwise, talk to you again soon. Follow us on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get these alerts before we go live. And of course, post your questions in the comments. If there's anything I didn't get to, or if you're watching this after I'm done being live, I'll scroll through the comments, try to answer some questions by writing back to you. But have a good night, and talk to you soon.